Welcome to Climate Catalysts. I'm Chloe, and in this series, I ask leaders in the climate space 3 questions with an aim of providing you insight about what has driven these people's successes. Together, we also learn from these industry leaders how us young people can be proactive and make an impact as the climate continues to change. Today on Climate Catalyst, I had a great chat with Anna Collyer. Anna is the chairwoman of both the Australian Energy Markets Commission and the Energy Security Board, which work with governments to help write the rules for the Australian energy markets. But today it was really great to focus a bit about on her role and her journey as a leader. And thus, enjoy these 3 questions of her. Hi Anna, thank you so much again for joining me today. Firstly, I wanted to ask you, as the chairman of both the Australian Energy Markets Commission and the Energy Security Board, how have you ensured the coordination of both of these bodies in achieving Australia's energy market objectives?
Hi, Chloe. It's really nice to be here, and thanks so much for inviting me to join your podcast. I thought I might just start off by explaining about the energy market bodies, because there's a lot of them. Sometimes we get called the alphabet soup, and it helps to kind of then understand how those 2 particular bodies work together. So there's 3 main bodies. There's the Australian Energy Market Operator, and as the name suggests, they operate the physical system as well as the market. There's the Australian Energy Regulator, and their job is to regulate, they regulate prices, and then they also regulate compliance with the rules by all of the industry participants. And then the role of the Australian Energy Market Commission, which is not as obvious from our name, is that we actually set the rules. So it's our job to ensure that the framework and the rules under which all of the industry participants are operating are fit for purpose and up to date, which I know we're going to talk about a lot today. The Energy Security Board is basically the combination of the 3 of us. So it's made up of the head of each of those 3 organisations. So myself, Claire Savage, who's the chair at the AER, and Daniel Westerman, who's the CEO at AEMO. And the way that those bodies work together is that the ESB is specifically tasked from time to time by ministers to report on particular issues and provide advice. The AEMC has a broader remit in that we respond to a request from literally anyone, but usually governments or market bodies or industry participants to update the rules. And then we also, of our own initiative, carry out reviews of the rules that we think are necessary to kind of consider where areas need to change. So in some ways, the ESB is a very important subset of the AEMC's work, and our work sort of leads into work that it may then be asked to do. So in some ways, coordinating between them is quite easy because they should work together. In other ways, it's the pointy part of my job, because we often have different views on things than our colleagues at the AER and AEMO. We're sort of set up for quite different purposes and we have different perspectives. And so it's a particular forum where we try and come to an agreement on what we think the best way forward is to get the best outcomes for energy customers. And I think that's probably the main answer to your question, is that we all at heart have the same purpose, is that we want to achieve the energy transition in the best way possible for energy customers. And so that's our kind of unifying objective. The Energy Security Board is actually evolving. So we've got a new model that we're currently developing, which will just refocus on, I guess, the highest priority issues at a very strategic level, recognising that each of the market bodies has the ability to carry on their own work programs, collaborating with each other without necessarily having to do so through that formal structure.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for that. So next I wanted to ask you, what are your priorities for the development of the Australian Energy Market Commission and the Energy Security Board, and especially considering the changing energy landscapes and the need for sustainable and resilient systems?
So when I took the role as chair at the AEMC, which was at the start of 2021, we actually did a big strategy reset to kind of really think about, in our role as the rule maker, how would we best make our contribution given the incredible change that's facing the industry at the moment. And we're focused on 3 things that we really want to make sure we keep doing as well as we possibly can, because we think that will help us get better outcomes. And they actually reflect my personal style as a leader as well. So that was what I wanted to bring to the organisation. So the first one is very much around collaboration. So understanding that there are a lot of different perspectives on how you solve any particular problem, and wanting to really listen to and work with other parties to find a way through. Like, there's not always a best answer, but there's an answer that kind of reflects taking those different perspectives into account. So we really focus on working with our other market bodies, working with our broad range of stakeholders, really listening and hearing what the different points of view are, and then trying to find a solution. The second area is that we have to be practical. So, we might have like a perfect outcome that we'd like to achieve, but it's just not always possible with such a complex transition and so many different stakeholder perspectives. So we do take the point of view that moving forward in some ways better than being stuck. So it's that kind of real cliche of don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, and trying to find a pathway through that at least progresses from where we are now, without getting paralysed by trying to achieve necessarily that ultimately perfect outcome. The third area where we really kind of are focusing on is how do we think about that future in our work, because it's very uncertain. Of course, none of us has a crystal ball. We have some parameters that we know, like we know we're heading for net zero by 2050. We have some ideas of how we're going to get there, but always trying to keep in mind, what is that ultimate future goal? What does that look like? And how do we bring that back to the work that we're doing right here and now? So those are the kind of the three areas that we've really focused on at the AEMC. The main one that I wanted to take into the work of the ESB, given that, again, it's got that different role, it's kind of answering quite specific tasks that it's been given by the ministers, is that collaborative way of working and ensuring that we were working really well, again, with that broad range of stakeholders that we're trying to solve problems for and with, to be hearing the different perspectives and being able to take that forward in a similar way that we do at the AEMC.
So it sounds like a lot of collaboration required. And lastly, I was hoping if I could ask you, I was hoping if you could describe maybe a challenge you faced in your role as the chairman of both of these major bodies. And I was hoping if you could also share how you navigated through them and maintained focus on these long-term goals. So maybe the idea of, not going for perfection, just going for good and getting towards the bigger goal, the bigger picture.
Yeah, and in some ways, like lots of things, the biggest strength of the industry is also one of the biggest challenges. So in the energy sector, we find we have so many passionate, very, very smart people who really want to make the sector a better place. But the challenge for me in my role is that all of them have a different idea of what that looks like. So when I talk about gathering different perspectives, like we really do have very different ideas coming to us from stakeholders about what the best path forward is to solve any particular problem. And so that can be very hard to manage and can be quite exhausting, actually, to kind of be able to absorb all those different ideas, to kind of remain patient, because, you want to get to a solution and it's not always obvious what it is. And just being able to work through what can be sometimes contentious issues in a way that still, as you say, keeps that real focus on, okay, the ultimate North Star is best interest of customers, from the perspective of all the different factors that we think are important, which includes emissions reduction, which I know we're going to get to a bit more, as well as affordability and reliability. So one of the things I find most important for myself, actually, is in addition to having that purpose, always coming back to that, is just keeping my own energy and well-being really front of mind. Because it's easy to think that the best way of solving a difficult problem is just to keep working harder and just keep working longer hours. But I find that if I'm a bit tired, or I let myself get run down, or I'm sort of, a little bit unwell, then I'm not able to kind of fully focus on what am I really trying to achieve and stay on top of the different challenges and difficulties that might come in any particular day. So, the kind of real basics like getting a good night's sleep and eating well and exercising well, it all just comes back to be such an important part of how you can keep maintaining your own energy, pardon the pun, and focus in such a complex and, exhausting otherwise environment.
Well, yeah, I guess everyone maintain your energy. Thank you so much, Anna, for this. Great talking with you. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to Dynamic Climate Now to stay informed and inspired by the dynamic intersection of climate change and business innovation.